Tonight on America's Dumbest Criminals, a getaway that's more evil than Knievel, the insider theft of diamonds big enough to choke on, and the relentless battle of man versus machine. Calm down and forget about your worries. Witness the not-so-good behavior of America's Dumbest Criminals.
Delta 1566. Give me a call and you'll find me.
And now, welcome your host for America's Dumbest Criminals, Daniel Butler and Debbie Allen.
You know, when you think about heist, you think about...
Hey, don't start with the short jokes.
No, come on, no, Miss Sensitive. I said heist as in stick up, okay? Not height as in grow up, okay? Now,
Funny.
all right, should I go on?
Stick with the copy.
Okay. When you think about heist, you tend to think about armored cars loaded with million-dollar payrolls or priceless gems kept in locked safes, right?
But what's the weirdest thing you could ever imagine anybody stealing?
Well, just when we think we've heard it all here at America's Dumbest Criminals, a story like this one comes along.
And you won't believe what was being pilfered.
Gallstones. Friends, yes, you heard me right. Gallstones.
But you don't have to take our word for it. We have got the hidden camera footage to prove it.
In this business, there's nothing that surprises you anymore, but there are a few things that astound you, and this kind of astounded us.
What this undercover officer discovered was a whole new kind of rustler, a beef inspector who, instead of checking for disease, was actually pocketing gallstones from cattle. Why gallstones? These gems from a cow's intestine are worth more than $500 an ounce, almost twice the value of gold. Why so expensive?
It's our understanding that they're sold in the commodity markets and then sold in the Asian world and used as an aphrodisiac.
So in came the undercover unit to break the case wide open and catch the love bandit in the act.
I mean, we've had a bunch of different lines over it, and you know, that this crime really galls me, or the crime is a crime of passion, and those kinds of things.
Ah, I get tingly just thinking about it. Ooh.
No, it looked like a big McNugget to me.
It's disgusting. Now we take you from gallstones to genuine precious stones. Diamonds, to be exact. Of course, we've all heard the expression that diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Yeah, every man has, sure,
Oh, yeah, we love them. Well, that may be true because, at least in this case, a girlfriend is definitely not a girl's best friend.
Now, this story is true, although its details may be hard to swallow.
And, you know, it never ceases to amaze me of the things that happen. We had this particular call involving this young female who was visiting a friend's house. She wanted to originally borrow some clothes. And I guess that while she had an opportunity to enter this friend's bedroom, she observed some jewelry and decided that she wanted to make that jewelry her own. However, her friend had enough smarts to realize immediately that the jewelry was missing and would not let this particular female out of her sight. This victim insisted that she not go anywhere and contacted the police. And she continued to deny any knowledge of the missing jewelry. The jewelry consisted of 5 rings along with a diamond necklace. She was transported to our police headquarters here, and you know, the detector started questioning her, and she continued to deny vehemently. She says, "I know nothing of this missing jewelry. You know, you got me wrong. I didn't take this jewelry." And I guess she realized that we weren't going to let her go that easy. We continued to question her for a few more moments, and finally she blurted out, "I swallowed the jewelry." So we took her down to Mountainside Hospital, and we told the intern down there that we had a subject in custody that allegedly had swallowed a large amount of jewelry. In fact, it was worth in excess of $2,500. And we decided to X-ray her. Upon running the X-ray and developing the X-ray, lo and behold, right there in her large intestine was this nice group of jewelry all bunched up in knots, and it was really visible, and it was quite hilarious, to be quite honest with you. We were able to recover one of the rings which she passed, but I can't tell you what happened to all the rest of the jewelry.
Now, imagine this ad in the classifieds. Wanted, accomplice for convenience store stick-up. Must be mature, responsible, able to think on your feet, excellent health required for fast getaways, willing to relocate, of course, excellent profit potential, salary negotiable. Well, apparently it's hard to find good help these days, and as this desperate desperado was soon to find out, he didn't make a very wise choice.
I guess the craziest arrest I ever had was in August of 1982. We received a robbery call at a local convenience store. Upon arrival, when we got there, the clerk was able to give us a description of the two suspects in the car, and they were last seen going south on the major highway going through our city. I came upon another convenience store which had been on my left, and as a general habit, I just happened to look over there, and I saw a car matching the description and two subjects putting gas in their getaway car. When I exited and pulled my weapon and told them to freeze. Well, both subjects then began to argue, became highly agitated. Then I noticed one of them starting to reach for his right rear pants pocket. And I drew my attention on him and told him, keep your hand up on the car, keep your hand away from your pocket. And as I got up there, I reached in and pulled out a .25 automatic. And generally, if you can, when you confiscate a weapon, the first thing you do is clear it. Well, the first thing I did was drop the magazine out of the .25 automatic, and I realized then there was no bullets in it. Then I pulled the slide pack. There was no bullets chambered into the weapon. Stunned, kind of dumbfounded, I told the guy, I said, the gun is unloaded. You robbed the store with an unloaded gun. He turned around and looked at me and said, what do you mean? Empty. I said, the gun is empty. You robbed the store with an unloaded gun. And when I said that, he looked at me and then he turned around and looked at his partner and said, fool, you gave me an unloaded gun to rob the place with, and then he started attacking him. And then we wound up having to break him apart when we were having the hearing in the court. I got to testify in front of the judge that these guys had said that they didn't have any gas. They had to stop and put gas in their car. They robbed it with an unloaded gun, and we also had to break up a fight between them after we apprehended them. And it's been a long time ago, but I can still distinctly remember that judge nearly falling off his bench laughing. They both got 10 years.
All of us at one time or other have done battle with an electronic device. Maybe you wanted to take a hammer to your computer or throw your answering machine out the window. Well, perhaps you've thought of putting your foot through your TV. Well, you really shouldn't do that right now, or you'll miss a pair of surveillance tapes that show robbers in a knockdown, drag-out fight with cash registers. James McDonald wasn't expecting trouble when a gunman entered the convenience store where he worked.
I just stood there and looked at him like he was stupid. I thought it was a gag.
Then suddenly it looked like a day at the ballpark. There was one run, one hit, and plenty of errors by this Bush League. Actually make that 2 hits, because the clerk caught up with the getaway car and knocked a grand slam through the rear window. And what did the woman think about her heroic act?
You see a friend getting hurt, you want to protect him, you know.
But wasn't she afraid of being shot?
I didn't see the gun.
The villain in the making enters the store trying to act nonchalant. He's probably saying to himself,
Oh yeah, I'm looking inconspicuous. No need to pay any attention to me. Let's see, what should I buy? What should I buy? Oh, hello, Mr. Clerk, sir. Just need to buy these cigarettes. Yeah, cigarettes. That's what I came in here for. Enough of my clever deceptions. You took me for a lowly customer, but behold, I am a master criminal. Watch my agile ways and prepare to be amazed. You're mine, cash register, all mine.
But this terminal was one powerful computer. A battle ensued and sparks flew, but he managed to crash the system, grab some cash, and make his exit, although he was later apprehended. And now with news that'll make us all feel a little smarter, here's Daniel with ADC headlines.
What do you do when the property you stole breaks down? Well, you do what any upstanding consumer would do. You call for service, right? Well, that's what a New Orleans woman did when the refrigerator she stole from the school where she worked conked out. In an act of extreme arrogance and supreme stupidity, she called the school maintenance man to put the chill back in her hot refrigerator. The repairman did the work, but he got steamed when she refused to compensate him for his services. So instead of getting paid, he got even by turning her in. At least this way, she got to spend some time in the cooler. Speaking of stealing large boxes, crooks in Newark came up empty-handed when they tried to steal a vending machine. They wrapped a chain around its base and hooked the ends to the bumper of their truck. Now, unaware that the vending machine was anchored in cement. When a tug of war ensued, the truck lost its bumper while the vending machine stood its ground. Nervous about the ruckus they had created, the crooks hightailed it out of there, leaving behind the bumper with the truck's license plate attached. It wasn't long. All of us, though, at one time or another have made the mistake of not following recommended washing instructions and paid the price. For a drug dealer in Vero Beach, Florida, the stakes were much higher than a shrunken shirt, and his mistake far dumber than mixing colors and whites. Instead of dropping off his bag of dirty clothes at his laundromat, he delivered a dirty little secret, a bag containing 3 pounds of marijuana. He should also have known that there's a big difference between folding sheets and rolling papers, you know? Well, that closes the file on ADC headlines, ripped from somewhere near the back of your local paper. Debbie?
Thank you, Dan. Well, watching this next chase scene, I think you'll agree that this motorcycle bandit had nerves of steel, but there was something that he didn't have: a tank of gas. Watch as this terrifying high-speed chase turns to slow motion. Like Peter Fonda in Easy Rider, or Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator, or Steve McQueen in The Great Escape. But he's about to become more like Pee-wee Herman in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's right, just like Mom told you, look both ways before crossing. Because it is true that motorcycles get great mileage, but they can't go on forever. And as our not all that evil Knievel watches his super-powered cycle reduced to a top-heavy scooter, he knows that his days of riding with the wind in his face have come to an end.
They called them the gang that couldn't spend straight, giving new meaning to the term conspicuous consumption. This bunch of backwoods bad guys from Cramerton, North Carolina, commandeered an armored car loaded with $17 million and drove it deep into the woods where, in a modified Robin Hood style, they robbed from the rich and gave to, well, themselves. Okay, with that much money burning a hole in their very deep pockets, they went on a shopping spree that would make Ivana Trump look like Mother Teresa. They waved farewell to welfare and traded in their double-wide trailers for double-digit diamonds. For a blow-by-blow of their bye-bye-bye, let's explore lifestyles of the rich and infamous Appalachian style.
Somewhere around the 4th of October, an employee of the Loomis Fargo Company heisted $17 million. Within 3 weeks after they stole this money, some of them decided to move from a double-wide mobile home in Lincoln County to a $635,000 mansion in Cramerton, North Carolina.
I think they put $435,000 down on the house. I don't know that it was all in $20 bills, but a lot of $20 bills. After the heist, who would have thought that someone would have stayed in the county right next door to where the $17 million was stolen and spend all this money in all these different ways.
Big screen TVs, stereos,
$43,000 diamond rings,
pool tables,
new BMWs,
Velvet Elvis, cigars.
Many of their friends and relatives didn't understand how they came upon all this money. So we started getting phone calls.
I'm Kathy Biles. I'm the mayor here in Cramerton. And the folks that purchased the home live just down the street from me. They came in driving a Mercedes and a BMW, and she had a huge diamond on her finger, and they seemed to fit right in right away, but they did keep to themselves.
Once we got the phone calls, we contacted the FBI. Over the course of the next 3 or 4 months, the FBI began conducting surveillance on the family that moved into Cramerton. Once they had enough evidence, somewhere around the 1st of March, the FBI arrested these people.
It was the typical rags to riches. It was interesting to see what folks thought they should spend their money on.
I think if you get that much money, you're kind of like a drunken sailor, just out spending money any way you can. One of the women involved getting a breast, I guess, augmentation, still $17 million. What's the first thing you want? Bigger breast.
Law enforcement officers have a full battery of crime-fighting tools on their side. They use radar, wiretaps, internet information sharing, and DNA testing, just to name a few. But none of these innovations eclipse the interrogation power of the polygraph, or lie detector.
Or, as they refer to it in Chesapeake, Virginia, the copy machine. Witness how this technologically challenged criminal is duped into confessing by police officers.
Well, I was working property crimes a few years back before my current assignment, and we had taken into custody a burglary suspect of a church. There were probably several $1,000s worth of silver, and an organ was taken, and a lot of damage and silver was taken. We came in, we interviewed him for probably 20 to 30 minutes. He continually denied the fact that he had broken into the church, and I asked him if he'd submit to a lie detector test, a polygraph. And he kind of hesitated, and then he stated that, well, yeah, I'll take a lie detector test. We took him over to a Xerox machine. Prior to this, we had set it up to where about the 4th question in line, we would ask him if he had broken into the church and stolen the items and done the damage in the church. And we wrote the word lie right in the middle of the piece of paper and loaded it into the tray on the Xerox machine. We brought him over. We put his hand flat out right on the glass of the Xerox machine. We asked him what his name was. He responded. We hit the start button. It Xeroxed and came out with a perfectly clear picture of his hand. The second question was where he lived or something of that nature. Basically something that we knew he would tell the truth on. We pushed the start button again. When we got down to the 4th question, we asked him if he broke into the church and had done the damage. He again said no. And we pushed the start button and it Xeroxed, and when it came out, it had the word lie written right in the middle of his palm. We then looked at him and said, the machine knows when you're telling a lie. And he very heartedly said, well, let me tell you what really happened. And then he proceeded to go in to tell us about how he and a friend had broke into the church. He tried to put it off on the friend, didn't think that they were going to steal anything. They were just going to vandalize the church. And then he admitted to taking the silver. We were able to recover most of the stuff that they had taken. Sometimes it just takes a dumb polygraph to catch a dumb criminal.
That's a Xerox lie detector. It's high tech. You know, I figured it was only a matter of time before the police countered copycat crimes with copycat crime solving, right? Come on. Well, that's all for this week. Join us next time as we'll be hot on the trail of news stories, including the case of a small town terrorized by a big pig wallowing in the wake of a crime wave.
Does the pig end up in a slammer or on your breakfast table?
Well, you have to tune in, Deb.
Okay, if you've got a lead on the story, or you just can't wait till next week for more state-of-the-art stupidity, visit our website at www.dumbcrimes.com.
We want to thank you for joining us and extend our gratitude to the law enforcement officers who make this show possible. Every day, they lay their lives on the line to keep us safe from the stupidity of would-be criminals.
As always, we hope we've learned from others' mistakes.
But if you haven't, we just might see you next week on America's Dumbest Criminals.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Closed captioning provided by